Season 11 of Eternal Return is ending in a few days, and like every season, we get a developer stream talking about the game's future. But this time, things were a bit different. Instead of a dedicated stream that is targeted towards the Western audience, we only got a Korean stream with AI translated subtitles. Understandably, not many people could follow along, so I want to give you all a quick summary of what is actually gonna happen to Eternal Return. Like every dev stream, they started out with a recap of the last season, talking about what went well, how it impacted the game, and their thoughts about it. One of the main things they talked about was the healing reduction change and how tricky it is to balance support characters. Currently, healing is in a weird spot. If they add healing reduction items, everyone will build them and healing will become useless. But they also don't want to leave healing where it is right now. To fix it, they want to rework support characters in general and will be testing different approaches. But that is far in the future. Let's talk about some stuff that will happen right away in Season 12. Starting out with an engine upgrade. This one is actually pretty big. Moving from Unity 5 to Unity 6 means we get a lot more quality and utility options, including a new Ultra setting for high-end PCs. But they're also optimizing all the other graphic presets as well. You should overall see a 20% FPS increase if you stick with your current settings. You can also finally go into the settings tab and adjust shadows or textures separately, without having to mess around with your graphic card software. Loading times should now be 30% faster, and they removed most of the issues that happen when you alt-tab during a loading screen. Take these numbers with a grain of salt though, because they only tested it on 5 PCs, but overall it should be a massive performance boost. I'm actually so happy that they are looking at performance for once, because the game doesn't run well at the moment and often likes to stutter or almost crash in the character loading screen. There aren't any massive new areas on Lumia Island this time around, but they are flattening the map to fix elevation issues that cause skill shots to miss. They're also widening the entrance between Uptown and Beach, removing last season's barrels from Barge, and moving the Barge kiosk up to the campfire and factory. The next change they announced was a rework to resting. Before, you had to be out of combat and would just sit down and heal over time. Taking any damage during the time would immediately cancel it and lock you out of it for a few seconds. Now you can heal whenever you want, and it will heal you in 3 different stages. Think of it as saving your progress. So if you have 1 bar and get hit while the second one is charging, you will only get that 1 bar of healing. Taking damage will still cancel the rest, but you won't be locked out of it anymore. The best change about it is that damage over time effects like Deliberation or Ghostlight will now no longer cancel your resting. This is going to make healing from resting worse overall, but it will feel a lot better to use, especially when fighting ranged characters. Currently in ER there's nothing worse than getting hit by an Adina Q and not being able to rest for 2 years. They also told us that you can rest while shielded, which opens up some fun mechanics like Estelle ulting herself just to heal up. Okay, now let's talk about combat. Nimble Neuron is overhauling all weapon skills. There were a few that were really frustrating to fight, looking at you throw skill, but there were also a few that just felt terrible to use. Eternal Return is trying to change that by making them overall faster and add more counterplay. Throw, for example, will no longer blind enemies, instead it will now do a big AoE slow like old bow skill used to do. Obviously, this is going to be better for some characters than others. They're also finally fixing whip skill. Before it felt super awkward to use because it doesn't really do anything and you're just forced to stand there, but now it's a 2-part cast. First you do a normal swing and then you strike forward. This is going to feel a lot better than the old one, especially for Laura and Mai. One change that I have seen a lot of confusion about is the new camera skill. So in the showcase video, it looks like the skill was changed from a blind to a small knockback, but apparently Nimble Neuron just wants to showcase the new range indicator better, and that is why Martina randomly turns around in this clip, but not the other. Yeah, I don't get it. Crossbow will be losing its knockback and getting a slow instead. This is a massive nerf to all crossbow characters, and I really wonder how they plan to balance those out. Especially characters like Carla really relied on it for her combos. I'm not going to go over all the weapon skills, but overall every weapon type is getting some tweaks. Just go and check it out for yourself. Oh, and also they changed that weapon skills can now finally work with your character passives. So Vanya, for instance, can gain a shield straight from her Arcana weapon skill, which was impossible before. While we're on the topic of character skills, we will also be getting a mini rework in Season 12. Sua is getting her role changed from a semi-support to a true frontliner. They did that by making her able to move during her Q cast and mark enemies with her E, meaning her ER combo should now be a true combo. But for that buff, she did lose the ability to shield teammates. I sure wonder if this rework has anything to do with her getting a new token skin. Next, they showed us a few new item passives. There's Frostbite, which slows enemies around you, Chasing Needle, that allows you to attack multiple enemies at once, Plague Butterfly, which is kinda like Chasing Needle but for skill amp users, and finally Gold Pouch. Killing animals stacks up credits that you can only cash out when you eliminate an enemy player. It will be really interesting to see how these items work in game. They seem really strong, so I'm a bit worried about Gold Pouch. Strong economy items in games are generally always scary because they often break them, but I'm sure they tested this enough. Okay, now let's move on to my favorite thing, gambling. In Season 12, you can finally gamble your rank points. So how this is gonna work is that once you're in a lobby, you can declare a gambit. If you do that, all of your losses and gains will be doubled. If everyone in the team declares a gambit, it will actually 3x your gains, but it will be hidden to the entire team until you are in the loading screen to the pre-lobby. So you really gotta convince your teammates to go all in with you. This is part of Nimble Neuron's new dopamine strategy. When you are new to the game, you get excited over winning games and leading your team to victory. But the longer you play, the more you lose that, which is why they are trying to reignite that feeling by making it possible to hit the jackpot. So now you can have either a 600 RP Giga Printer game or a minus 200 RP Cat Despair moment. I can already see this creating some drama in high elo. Speaking of the dopamine plan, they are now adding Valorant style kill sound effects for every down you get. They also added a new mechanic to Lumi. Now you can't just beat her up and buy from her, you can also bribe her by paying 20 credits to reopen a restricted area for 1 day. This should fix some RNG issues with zones closing and will actually give you full vision of the zone. They're changing animal and CCTV locations like every season. They're also finally adding the ability to see your teammates' gadget points and if they're reviving or not. Apparently, the moving final zone worked so well that the 2 temporary final zones will now also be moving final zones. This is going to add a lot more strategy and randomness to the game because you will never know where the zone is going to end up going. It will be super interesting to see how temporary final zones with 3 teams are going to look like. Next up, they announced new lore to the game. We already have episode 1 of the lore, which a lot of people really enjoyed. It just gives more depth and personality to the game. Now they announced episode 2, and from the looks of it, it will be Garnet and Kenneth themed. Speaking of lore, they are finally adding a mastery system to the game. The more you play a character, the more you will be able to unlock about them. They didn't really say if there will be new lore or if you will be able to flex your mastery like in League, but this should be a cool change for people that want to learn a bit more about their character. Now let's get to the part that most people care about. The ER pass of Season 12 will be, to no one's surprise, another beach season. They called it sailing, but I'm not really sure what swimsuits have to do with sailing. The pass includes Shuling, Nia, and an incredibly dripped out human. Just look at his bird. He has a head with a little rubber ducky. That is amazing. The season pack exclusive will be Tasia, which just looks really pretty. They also announced a ton of other amazing skins that I will just be showing in the background. I think this is the first season in which they didn't do a single bad skin, and not that many fanciful skins either. Everyone that played at least 5 ranked games will be getting the Cut at 11 skin, and if you played at least 5 ranked games next season, you will be getting the Cut at Yan skin. If you want to have a closer look at the skins, I will have them linked in the description below. With the new skins, they also showed us the 2 new characters they're going to release. First is Lucia, who looks quite young but is apparently the CEO of a weapon corporation like Haze. She seems like she will be a sniper carry type character. Alongside her is Ceres, her emotionally distant, loyal, deadpan mate, who from the looks of it will be a two-handed sword or bad character. They seem to be 2 separate characters that are related story-wise, like Kenneth and Garnet, but the AI translation made it a bit tough to confirm. This brings us to the Q&A section, which leaves a lot to be desired for us global players. Unlike last dev stream, where they at least acknowledged Western questions, we were entirely ghosted this time. Yeah, no mentions of Western advertising, no roadmap for our region, and still no update on the Beyond English voice lines. The future of Eternal Return in the West isn't looking great right now, but hey, if their Japanese marketing push goes well, maybe they'll remember we exist too. Also, by the way, make sure to claim the code S12 Sailing for some event MP and skin box sets. And don't forget the amazing good Daniel emote. These are only valid for a few more days, so make sure to get them in time. That covers the most important updates of the Season 12 stream. Let me know what changes you are the most excited for down below. Also, if you made it this far, let me know what you think about this type of content. I'm experimenting with less edited content that is easier and faster to put out. Maybe I'll do more in the future. Anyway, here's a picture of my cat. Have a great day. Bye!